Have you ever sent a message and immediately felt that drop in your stomach, like something shifted and not in a good way? Yeah, that was me. One night, thumb hovering over the send button. This tiny voice inside my head was whispering, don't do this. But I was addicted to the reaction, the drama, the need to feel something more.
So I pressed send.
And hours later, my phone was still silent, except for two words that chilled me more than any angry paragraph ever could. Have fun. That's it. No exclamation mark. No emoji. Just a period. 2 words. 1 cold sentence. And I knew, deep down, that everything had changed. That was the last thing Ryan ever said to me. I want to tell you this story because I don't think we talk enough about how easy it is to destroy something beautiful. Not with cheating. Not with yelling. But with small, constant acts of emotional sabotage. So here it is. My name's Emily, and I lost the best man I've ever known because I couldn't handle peace. Ryan and I were together for 2 years. He was steady.
Kind.
The type of guy your mom prays you'll bring home. The guy who remembers how you take your coffee. The guy who picks you up after work with your favorite playlist already queued up. He listened, really listened, when I rambled about office gossip or my weird childhood dreams. He held my hair when I had the flu, watched my shows without complaining, and left notes on the fridge when he left early. His love, it was constant, like the hum of a refrigerator. Always on. Always there. And I hated that I found it boring. I know how bad that sounds. I know. But I had this warped idea of what love was supposed to feel like. I wanted fireworks. Jealousy. The stuff you see in movies, slamming doors and passionate fights followed by steamy makeup sex. In my mind, love was chaos.
And Ryan?
He was peace. And that made me restless. Now, here's where it really started to unravel. About 6 months into our relationship, we were drinking this cheap red wine on the couch, just talking, when Ryan opened up about his past.
His ex.
He told me their relationship ended over a lie. And not even a big one. He looked me dead in the eye and said, once the trust was gone, everything else just crumbled. I don't do that again. Trust isn't part of the relationship for me, Emily. It is the relationship. That was his red line. He told me straight up. And I wish I could say I respected it. But instead, I spent the next several months walking right up to it. And then crossing it. At first, it was small things. I'd start talking about this coworker, Jason. Totally harmless, funny guy, but I started dropping his name a little too often. Jason sent me this meme today, you'd hate it. Jason and I were laughing so hard in the break room. I spilled my coffee. I wasn't flirting with Jason, but I was doing something worse. I was using him, testing Ryan, trying to get a reaction. But Ryan, he didn't bite. Every time I'd bait him, he'd just smile and say, that's cool, and ask me about my day. And I hated it. So I escalated. One Thursday, I made plans to get drinks with Jason after work. I didn't tell Ryan. I let my phone die on purpose. Came home hours later, and there he was sitting on the couch reading. Dinner on the counter. Plate covered in foil. He looked up, smiled, and said, hey, you're back. I was getting a little worried. Everything okay? And I shrugged. Oh, yeah, just ran into Jason.
Got a drink.
Lost track of time. You know how it is. I was watching his face. Waiting for it. The jaw clench. The why didn't you text me? Anything. But he just said, sounds nice. Did you have a good time? That moment right there? That should have been a wake-up call. Instead, I took it as proof he didn't care. I remember complaining to my best friend Chloe that weekend. We were at brunch, and I was swirling the straw in my mimosa, saying, it's like he doesn't even care. I could tell him I was going to Vegas with Jason, and he'd just offer me a ride to the airport. And Chloe, God bless her, she just put her fork down and looked at me.
Emily, she said.
You are playing a stupid game with a good man. And the only person who's going to lose is you. I brushed it off. Told her she didn't get it. That she didn't know Ryan the way I did. But she did. And I didn't. Then came the night it all fell apart. Ryan was at his usual Tuesday basketball game. I was alone at home, phone in hand, bored. Jason texted me, Something dumb about a horror movie we'd argued about. The Thing. Classic John Carpenter. I loved it. He finally admitted I was right. Totally harmless. But I took a screenshot.
Cropped it. Cut out all the context.
Made it look suggestive. Then I sent it to Ryan with a message that read, "Someone's making me laugh more than you tonight, winking face, and I swear to you, for 1 second my thumb hovered." My gut screamed, "Don't do this." But I did. I pressed send. And I waited. I waited for the fight. The reaction. The proof that he cared. You know what I got? Typing. Then nothing. Then finally, have fun.
Period.
That was it. That was the moment I lost him. He didn't call. Didn't text again. Didn't yell. He just disappeared. And for the first time, I realized how terrifying silence could be. You know that feeling when a door shuts, and you know it's not just closed, it's locked. Deadbolted.
Sealed.
That was Ryan's silence. After he texted me, have fun, I expected a fight. I expected the classic back and forth. The dramatic argument. Maybe a few days of no contact before we made up like always. But that never came.
No angry texts.
No follow-up. No calls. Just silence. And let me tell you something I didn't know until it was too late. A good man doesn't leave loudly. He leaves quietly, with nothing left to explain. It's been 6 months since that night. 6 months of waking up in a half-empty bed. 6 months of cooking meals I don't finish. 6 months of replaying the moment I chose a reaction over the relationship. At first, I told myself he'd come back, that he was just giving it time. But the truth? Ryan didn't need time. He needed a reason to stay. And I'd taken that away. One night, I broke. I was sitting on the kitchen floor, wine in one hand, phone in the other, and I sent him an email. Not to beg. Not to win him back. Just to apologize. Subject: I'm sorry, Ryan. I don't expect a reply. I just needed to say it out loud. I get it now. You told me who you were. What mattered to you. And I didn't listen. I was so used to chaos that I mistook your calm for distance. So I created chaos, thinking you'd chase me through it. You didn't. You walked away. And you were right too. I hope you're okay.
Emily.
I stared at the sent notification like it might suddenly undo everything. But he didn't reply. And that, I realized, was the reply. 3 weeks later, I ran into his sister, Lauren. We used to be close, like send each other TikToks at 2 a.m. close. She saw me in Trader Joe's. Frozen aisle. We made eye contact. She looked away. I approached her anyway. Lauren, can we talk? She gave me the kind of smile that doesn't touch your eyes. Emily, I'm not the one you need forgiveness from. I nodded. I wasn't expecting kindness. But still, I tried. I just want to say I'm sorry. For everything. I know I messed up. She stared at me for a long time. Ryan told us what happened. Not all the details. But enough. Then she leaned in, quiet but sharp. He said, loving you felt like walking barefoot through broken glass. Beautiful, but eventually, it just started to hurt. I froze.
He didn't ghost you, she added.
He survived you. And then she walked away. That line stuck with me. He survived you. I couldn't argue it. I had turned love into a test. And he had the nerve, the strength, to fail it on purpose. Because he knew his worth. From that point on, I stopped pretending I was healing. I started healing. Therapy. Reflection. Journaling. You name it, I did it. Not to get him back. But to become the kind of person who wouldn't lose someone like him again. It took months of digging deep. Facing things I never wanted to see in myself. And then, 9 months later, it happened. A reply. Subject: I'm sorry. From Ryan Adams. Emily, I believe you meant your apology. And I also believe you meant what you did at the time. That's the part that hurt. I don't hate you. I never did. But I don't have room in my life anymore for people who confuse peace with boredom. I hope you're healing. I hope next time, you treat love like the gift it is. Ryan, I didn't cry. I just sat there. Quiet. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't need to fix anything. I just needed to accept it.
It's been almost 2 years since Ryan.
The peace I craved, I found it. Not in another person. Not in some big, dramatic moment. But in the quiet. In mornings that don't feel heavy anymore. In meals I cook just for me. In realizing I don't need someone else to choose me to finally choose myself. I live in a smaller place now. It's mine. Every inch of it. A ficus I've somehow kept alive. A corkboard full of postcards from cities I visited solo. And a bed by the window that I don't have to share with ghosts anymore. For a long time, I thought healing meant erasing what happened.
But now,
I know healing means integrating it. Owning the role I played. And learning how not to play it again. And then, Daniel came along. Not with fireworks. Not with some epic love confession. Just a quiet offer. Want to grab coffee? I met him at a dinner party. He dropped a box of LaCroix on the porch and nearly tripped over the step. We laughed. It wasn't flirtatious. Just human. No pressure. No games. And for the first time, I wasn't trying to perform for anyone. I was just me. For months in, he asked me, "What happened with your last relationship?" And I told him the truth. The whole ugly truth. The text. The manipulation. The silence that followed. He nodded. Thought for a minute. Then said, "Okay. So now I know what your rock bottom looked like. And that doesn't scare you." "Emily," he smiled, "I don't need perfection. I just need someone who's done the work." I cried. Right there. In the middle of a pier. Not because he fixed anything, but because I'd finally stopped needing someone to. You want to know the full circle moment? I saw Ryan again. Bookstore.
Portland. Tutalak din.
We smiled. Hugged. "You look good," he said. "So do you." He didn't ask about Daniel. I didn't ask about anyone in his life. We didn't need to. Because the only thing I owed him was my growth. And he saw it. I could tell. We parted like old friends who once knew each other deeply, and now, peacefully, don't. Closure, it wasn't the email. It wasn't the bookstore. Closure happened the moment I stopped waiting to be saved. And started showing up for myself. Last week, Daniel and I got into a dumb fight about laundry of all things. I started shutting down. Getting cold. And he looked at me and said, "You don't have to push me away to prove you're strong. You can just stay. I'm not going anywhere." And I stayed. No text games. No drama. Just stayed. Because I finally learned you don't need chaos to feel alive. You just need honesty.
And peace.
And someone who meets you where you are, scars and all. That was the red line. The one I crossed. The one I paid for. But also the one that showed me who I never want to be again. And who I'm finally becoming. Thanks for listening to the Red Line Trilogy. If this story moved you, share it. Someone out there might be one message away from losing everything or finding themselves. Subscribe for more real stories. Stories that don't promise happy endings, but promise truth. And maybe healing. And if you've crossed a red line before, it's not too late. Not to go back, but to go forward better.